Sharing my AIME cutoff prediction, as well as my thoughts on the difficulty of the various tests. So starting off with the 2024 AMC 10A. This was much harder, or not much harder, but somewhat harder than last year's 2023 AMC 10A, which was ridiculously easy compared to all of its tests at the time. So the cutoff is definitely going to be a bit lower than last year, that's for sure. But still, it wasn't really that hard. Like we see questions like number 21, which are just really a glorified system of equations, and 24, which is really not very hard casework. So overall, the difficulty of the test still, I would say, on the lower side, a little bit on the lower side, but much harder than last year. So I'm predicting a 97.5 as my AIME cutoff for this test. Okay, so now for the AMC 2024 AMC 10B. So the key thing about B and A is even for two same difficulty tests, the cutoff for the B test, whether it's 10B or 12B, is going to be slightly higher. Now you might be wondering, why is that the case? Well, much more people do the AMC 10A and 12A, as compared to the 10B and 12B. But when they're selecting the AIME cutoffs, they just look at the same percentage of people from both tests. But the serious people, the people who are at the level of qualifying for AIME or above, are going to be the ones who are taking both tests, most likely. So that's why it's a bit harder to qualify from the B test, which is why my cutoff predictions will also be reflecting that to some degree. Okay, so the 10B test. Now, this test I also think was quite easy. Like, especially the last 5 tests. Like number 25, very easy. 24, just to test different mods. 23, literally just like a couple minute computation. These problems were not too hard. Like up till 14, I would say. 1 through 14 were all pretty easy, and I would say. And then 15 was tricky. It was also on the 12. And this was like a bit misplaced, I would say. Should be a bit higher. It took a long time, a little bit bashy. So this one was definitely hard. But the rest, 16, 17, 18, 18 was really easy, but 16, 17 were around medium difficulty. 19 also around it. 21, 20, 21, 20 and 21 were around like normal difficulty. 22 is really, really easy as well. Like 22, 22, 24, 25. So AIME cutoff is going to be a bit higher than 10A for both the reason of it being B, and also I think it was a bit easier than the A. Not by much, but by a little. So that's why my AIME cutoff prediction for the 2024 AMC 10B is 105. Okay, now we're moving on to the 12 tests. So starting off with the 12A. So 12A, this test was definitely one of the harder tests of the time for AMC 12. Like we see questions like number 8. This one was so notorious. Many people mess this up because they did not realize that inside the log, you can't put a negative number. And also we have things like vectors on number 7, which is not usual. We have some very annoying bashy questions like number 6. There's some questions that are overlap, some pretty easy questions like number 15, I would say, and 16 is also not that hard. And then we have like some tricky questions like 18, which are not, as standard as maybe some other questions. Like this is the type of unique questions which have not really been seen in previous tests. We also have some pretty easy questions like 19 and some calculus kind of questions, which can be done with calculus on like number 20. And then the last 5 problems are slightly hard, I would say. Like 22 is somewhat hard. 23 was a little bit hard. 24 also, I would say, somewhat hard. 25, pretty tricky and very easy to mess up. So definitely a test on the harder hand. So that's why my AIME cutoff prediction is going to be the lowest it's ever been in recent years, because I think this test roughly matches the hardest test. So that's why my cutoff prediction for the 12A is 81. And like I mentioned earlier, there's a B factor, which makes the B cutoff slightly inflated from the A cutoffs. So that's because, again, less test takers, same percentage. The serious people take both. So 12A is going to be 81, around is my guess. And now let's take a look at 12B. So 12B, a bit easier than 12A for sure, right? Other than number 10, 10 was, again, kind of notorious and brutal, especially for a number 10. There are many quite easy problems, like 15, this was really easy. 16, really easy. 14, really easy. 13, not very hard at all. 12, not really that hard. I wouldn't say called this really easy, though. 17, pretty easy. 18, pretty easy. 19 was a bit tricky, I would say. It's not too hard, though. 20, a little bit tricky here because there's like more of a non-standard type AMC problem. 21, really easy. 23, pretty easy for its position. Even 25 was pretty easy for its position. 24, 22, I would say were probably the most tricky problems in addition to number 10, which is kind of annoying and easy to mess up. So yeah, definitely much easier than the A, plus the B factor. So I think this cutoff, my prediction is going to be an 88.5. So those are all my predictions for the AIME cutoffs. I hope you enjoyed this video. But again, remember, do not take these predictions too seriously. They're just my thoughts and my predictions, and they could be right on the dot or they could be way off for all I know. Thank you for watching.